Hey, it's Kevin. We're back. We had the little shovel. This is the last shovel we made. On the last video I made this shovel. Well, I want a smaller one now. So I think I may have told you I'm going to build one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get building on another shovel. This is going to be a small one. I want to make it decently small, but very hardy. Something that I could really, if I wanted to, I could beat on it. I want it strong little shovel, but very small. I mean, I don't think it's going to be very big at all. I'm thinking more like 13 inches, you know, so it's going to be pretty small. It's going to be a hard one because I really don't know how I'm going to build it, but we're just going to kind of go with the flow. But for my handle, I got a piece of 1/2-inch dowel here. We're going to use this for the handle instead of the pipe. We're going to use this. I'm hoping this works out. I'm not sure which one's stronger. We got 1/2-inch pipe and we got, you know, 1/2-inch dowel. So I think this is 1/2-inch. I better measure that just to make sure. Yeah, 1/2-inch. So we got 1/2-inch dowel and then we got 1/2-inch pipe. And like I said, I'm not so sure. I thought the pipe would be stronger, but I'm not sure which one would be lighter. It might be the same. I'm not sure of that either. So, and then we'll be making our handle out of this, just like we did the other shovel. We're going to make our handle out of the 1/2-inch pipe. So, my first step, I'm going to try to bend this. I want to make a 90-degree out of here because I want that to be able to set on my shovel head. Let's see how I can build. I'm trying to build a little different than the other shovel. Alright, I was just going to give you a little close-up of what pieces I'm going to be using. This is the part out of the propane tank. This is the piece of 1/2-inch dowel. And this is the piece of 1/2-inch tubing, black iron tubing. Get that right at Lowe's if you want. I get mine out of the junk pile. So, if you guys want to see how this thing's made, let's go for a ride. Let's check it out. Our first step is going to be getting this forge going here. I don't use the forge that much, but I'm starting to, a little more and a little more. This thing is pretty cool, man. It works well. Definitely no problems with it. If you've never seen me build the forge, there's actually a video on there of me building the forge. So if you want to check that out, you can too. We're going to let this thing heat up good because we're going to be bending a couple pieces of that metal, and I thought the forge would be great to do it on. We got the forge going, and what we're going to do, we're going to bend this piece that was for our handle. This is the piece of 1/2-inch dowel. Now, I ground some of the edge off of this thing. You see right there, I ground the edge off of it. And that's what we're going to be using to weld to the handle there. But I'm going to bend this in a 90-degree angle as short as I can. I'm going to see how it works out here. I'll put it in the forge, throw it in a vise, we'll see what happens. Okay, now we're going to get our 90-degree bend on this thing for where it's going to hook onto the shovel. Don't look quite 90, but we'll make it 90. Alright, we stuck it on the anvil over there and made sure we got a good 90. So that looks pretty good. Get this thing cooled off. The next step, we're going to try to bend this a little tighter because we want more of a bend for this smaller shovel. So we're going to throw this thing in the forge and see if we can heat it up and get it bent up a little tighter. Okay, this is a new one for me. You guys know I haven't used the forge very much, so I'm going to try to attempt to bend this big plate steel and get it a little tighter on the biggest part of it. And we put it in the forge, it's getting hot. So, turn her down here. And we're going to have to get this pretty tight on here because we want to bend it. Do you see we got it glowing there? Okay, we got a pretty good tight on there. Beat that up just a little bit more. I'm going to take a hammer to it. See if I can do a little more with the hammer. So we got a pretty good bend in that. And that's what we're looking for, that nice tight bend right there. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to get a mark on this where we want to cut this shovel. Because we want to use, you want to use the U part of this shovel. So that's what will go in the ground. So we're going to get us a couple marks on here. We'll take a cutoff wheel and we'll get this piece cut out. We'll try to get the shape of our shovel. We have one side cut off here. Now, I wanted to go across. I wanted to make sure that's the same distance. I'm not sure that I got a perfect bend on that, but I think we could still work it around. And how I got the measurement from here to there is I have a small tape measure, and I did that at 2 1/4 inches. I measured that across at 2 1/4. So I'm a 2 1/4 all the way down. So if I need to stick that in the forge and beat it out and straighten it up a little more, I could. Okay, that's going to be our tip, that piece that's going to go in the ground. This back here is just going to be where we're going to hook our handle on. We got to straighten it out a little bit too. I think we actually need a little bit more curl. And that looks pretty good. I think we're going to stay with that. It doesn't look bad. It's got a nice little curve to it. I don't know if it's a little much on that one side. It's hard to look right down inside of it, but I think it's going to be okay. I think we'll be good right there. I think that's going to be an okay tip on there. So we're going to go ahead and get that cut off and cleaned up there. Then we're going to try to square up the other end. You can see it's not square. We're just going to try to square it up. Okay, after a whole lot of grinding, this is what we came up with. And it don't look too bad. It's got a nice little curve to it. We're just a little bit off on the back. That's how we could tell it's homemade. Once I get the handle on it, I can finish sharpening it up. But right now we're going to work on drilling the hole in this thing and see if we can get our dowel down in there and get it welded in so we can start putting our handle on this. We got the hole drilled in there. It just slid it through the shovel itself. I got off on it a little bit, but that's how you know it's homemade. So it's just off just a tiny little bit. I'm not worried about that. I don't think it'll affect anything. But what we'll do, we're going to have to cut that off. So once we get that welded in there, about where we want it to sit, we'll get that welded in there, and then we'll go ahead and cut the back of that off, and then we'll weld it and grind it off too. So we'll have a good strong handle in this thing. So I'm going to get this set up and get it welded in. We have everything set up in the vise here. I put the other end of this down through the vise, and then I kind of got the shovel laying in the crack of the vise, and I lined them up as best that I could. Pretty sure it'll work out fine. Let's get these welded up. The shovel's all welded on now. We welded on the back. I tried to grind off some of that because I want it to be a little smooth. So we got that ground down a little bit, and
I use a flux core, so it leaves little BBs all over everything. I still got to clean up a little bit more, but it doesn't look too bad. Actually, it's pretty good and straight. It's going to be a nice little plug. Should be able to dig nice little plugs with it. Now we're going to get to working on the handle. Instead of putting a wooden handle or something like that on here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the same type of handle that's on the bigger shovel I made in the earlier video. I'm going to use the same type of handle. That way, if I want to lean on top of this thing and get some pressure on it, I'll be able to have a nice handle on there to lean down on. So that's the type of handle I'm going to put on this shovel. Right now, we're going to get this cut off to length. What we'll do is we'll measure the other shovel. We have it sitting right over here. We're going to measure that handle, and we're going to cut one the same length as this one, which is 4 1/4. So what I'm going to do is just go throw this in a saw and cut me 4 1/4 inches off, and bring her back here and get a hole drilled in it so we can put this. What we'll do is we'll drill a hole, the same size hole, 1/2 inch, right into this handle, and we'll weld it on. Well, I have a little problem here. I kind of like the shovel a little longer. I was actually going to make it pretty short, but I kind of like the idea of it being longer. It's still not very heavy. Even after it's all together, it's not going to be very heavy at all. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to leave it longer. I can't make up my mind whether I want to make it shorter or leave it long. I think it's sturdy enough that I can pry on this pretty hard. I don't think it's going to bend, but I'm not sure. But I guess if I made it longer and I didn't like it, I could always cut it off, make another handle, and move it down. But I think for the time being, I think I'm going to weld this thing up a little longer. I like the idea of this shovel having some length to it. So if I'm bent over, I can lean on it a little better to give it a little bit better going in the ground. So I kind of changed things right in the middle. I'm going to make this shovel just a little bit longer. So like I said, if I want to move it back, I can always cut it off again, but I'm going to try it out like this. I like the idea of it being a little bit longer. Okay, so what we did, the same as the other shovel, we laid it flat on the table. And with it being on the table flat like this, as long as this piece here, your head is square with the table, you should have a nice straight handle. So we're going to go ahead and weld this handle on. Well, our handle is welded on there. We cleaned it up a little bit. Now we're going to work on this tip a little bit more. I'm going to sharpen it up and clean it up a little bit more, and then we're going to get this guy painted. Now these little hooks are just made out of, a 1/4 inch dowel. I made a bunch of these up when I was making my ginseng diggers, and I got some left, so I just heat them up and bend them and just make them look like that and weld them on. So I'll get this one cleaned up and we'll get it welded on. It's amazing what a little wire brush can do to an old rusty piece of metal, ain't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the back side of the shovel so that actually the sharp edge is facing away from my leg. And I'm going to put that down, maybe right in there, because I don't want my fingers to hit this. So I think that's a good spot right there. Get her tacked on there. We'll just tack it, look at it, make sure it's lined up, it's where we want it. Then we'll weld it on there. Okay, shovel's done. All it needs is a good coat of paint. We got our little piece welded on there. We welded it all the way around. And that'll hook right on your pocket. Slide it down in your pocket, carry it around. It's not that heavy. I'll see if I can get a weight on it for you. It's almost, well, it's just about almost 2 pounds, I think. Around 2 pounds. I don't know if my little scale's accurate, but that's not very heavy. It's almost as heavy as the bigger shovel we made, but I think it's going to be a good shovel. It's going to be light enough we can put in our pocket or on our belt and dig some plugs. Let's go throw this thing in the ground and see what it does. I don't know exactly how stiff the ground is here, but we'll try to dig us a little plug right here. Oh, no problem getting that in the ground. See, we could actually put some weight on this little shovel. I don't know if we're going to be digging that deep with this. I wouldn't be too bad because it's going a couple inches. See, we must have disturbed there's a nice little plug. I think this little shovel is going to work pretty good. Then instead of disturbing the ground too much, I think this little shovel will work fine. And it feels pretty strong. It feels really strong. So, like I said, we can hook that on our belt loop. And nice little plug shovel. Or plug back in there. Good to go. The shovel's done. We got a little camo paint on her. She looks nice, good and sturdy. We dug one hole with it. I don't think we'll have a bit of problem with this shovel. I think it'll be a pretty good little shovel. Now in my last video, I made a video of this shovel. I made this shovel. This is a really good shovel, good strong little shovel. Bit heavy, I think it's a little over 3 pounds. A little bit heavy, but it's a good shovel. Makes good for a walking stick too. We have been out with the Garrett Ace 250. We've been out a little bit. As you can see, I got the shovel all dug up here. No bends in it or nothing. Held up good. We did find a few things. I'm going to be putting another video on of doing some metal detecting. And I dug out... I actually didn't get it on video. I took the video, or it took the metal detector out and figured I'd try it out, just see if I could use it. It's not as easy as everybody thinks to just grab the thing and go find money. You're not going to do that. But I had a lot of fun. I went and I found well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what I found. I did find some pretty good stuff. I will show you on my next video. Everything that I did find, I kept and got it cleaned up, so I'll show you that on the next video. I wanted to tell everybody thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to subscribe, leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, and a comment if you'd like. Till next time.